Senator Rand Paul is a little bit scared. Yeah, he was very scared of the mobs that apparently were coming after him after the RNC, and so he's going to go first on Twitter to proclaim how afraid he was of these protesters. He said, "I just got attacked by an angry mob of over 100, one block away from the White House," and then thanked the DC police for, quote, literally saving our lives. Now, later on, he's going to go on Fox and Friends and basically repeat the same thing, sort of. But as you're going to see, he kind of embellishes it just a little bit. Take a look.
We also saw a mob of about 30 people marching and yelling. They all of a sudden saw me right as we got to the policeman, fortunately, or I don't think we'd have survived. We got to the policeman, and the policeman, I don't think, recognized me. And as they came closer, they were shouting my name, and the crowd doubled to 60. And then it doubled again to 120. And as they were surrounding us, and it got closer and closer, and everybody kept pushing back, the policemen were forming a barricade with their bodies. I whispered to the policeman, "They know who I am. You've got to get reinforcements. It's going to get worse." And they were shouting threats, you know, to us, to kill us, to hurt us. And they were shouting and screaming, and just, it really, these people were unhinged. But I can't tell you how, I'm not sure we would have made it. So as we're walking, sort of surrounded by the police, they're attempting to push the police over to get to me. So at one point, they push a policeman backwards. He stumbles, and he's trying to catch his balance, and I catch the back of his flak jacket to stabilize him and, you know, make sure that he's okay, because he's our defense. I mean, if he's down, the mob's loose on us. And you've seen the pictures of what they do to you. If the police are not there, if you defund the police, if we become Portland, if America becomes Portland, what's going to happen is people are going to be pummeled and kicked in the head and left senseless on the curb. That would have happened to us. I promise you, had we not had the D.C. police to support us, I mean, we are thankful that we have police, and we've got to wake up. We can't have the whole country. We can't have Joe Biden rule the country and have no police. I mean, we can't walk down the street in D.C. safely now.
All right. A few things I got to say about that, right? Again, a little bit of embellishment. They know who I am. They knew who I am. And so they were coming after me. I'm pretty sure a majority of those people were not like, "That's Rand Paul. Get him." No, it's more like, "That guy just came out of watching Donald Trump. Get him." I mean, I guess sort of the same result, but really 120 protesters. Oh, I wouldn't have made it out alive. We can't even walk down the street in DC anymore. You know what? You know what I say to that? Good. I'm glad that corrupt politicians can no longer walk safely down the street in Washington, D.C. Why? It's because you support a regime. Okay, let me rephrase that just a little bit, right? Why? Because black people can't walk safely down the street without getting shot in the back 7 times. Hell, black people can't even sit in their apartment safely or sleep in their apartment safely without people coming in and shooting them to death. Though they can't be stopped by police in their car safely. So you know what? I don't really give a goddamn whether or not Rand Paul can walk down safely. And by the way, he looked pretty freaking safe there. All right. He was surrounded by a wall of cops. And then, you know, there was, in fact, you know what? Let me go to some more video, because there's more video of what actually happened. Right. And so there's one part where maybe somebody might have been in a little bit of a physical altercation, but really throughout most of the video, it's just people being mean, like verbally, to Rand Paul, and then shouting, of course, about Breonna Taylor. So let's go to that video.
Move back! What's up, bro? I got you.
All right. So, look, you saw that. Again, there was one part of that where somebody went and pushed that police officer. I'm assuming after he was pushed by the police officer, but I can't confirm that. That's what I think happened. And so that's where it got like, ooh, then he got pushed. That officer got pushed into Paul. Paul caught him because, literally getting pushed into. And so that's what happened. And of course, you saw on Fox News, he was like hyping that up. Oh, I caught that officer. And then, because he's the only line between us and the mob killing me. My life was in danger. My life was in danger. Was your life really in danger, Rand Paul? I mean, yes, mostly you seem to be surrounded. Yes, there were protesters there, and there's a lot of media there. There's just a lot of people filming with cell phones. So, like, half of the people that were, quote unquote, the mob were just like people filming it. Come on, man. Really? Come on. So now look, were there any death threats? I couldn't hear any. It's possible there were probably some. There's a lot of conversation going on. But overall, you could mostly hear people saying, Breonna Taylor, say her name, right? And that makes sense because Breonna Taylor, what happened is, that happened in Kentucky, right? That's Rand Paul's home state. And so, yeah, it's kind of important. Now, to be fair, Rand Paul, he did, introduce the Justice for Breonna Taylor Act, right? That would prohibit federal law enforcement from carrying out warrants until the officer provides notice of his or her authority and purpose. And that's fine. Again, that's one of the things that Rand Paul does. That's actually like, okay, great. That's a good piece of legislation. I support that, right? But then again, also your actions do matter outside of that. And he's been an enabler of President Trump overall. And so, look, here's the thing. Rand Paul, this was a photo op for him. This was a photo op or a way for him to, again, you heard him on Fox News. We can't have Joe Biden take away the police. Joe Biden wants to give more money to the police. I don't know if you know that, right? Joe Biden wants to give more money to the police. And he hired, and I wouldn't say hired, but he picked the top cop as his running mate. I don't think you can get more law and order than that, than having the nominee, the Democratic nominee, be the author of the 94 crime bill. All right. So, like, seriously, they're delusional. If you're talking about how, Joe Biden's, he's going to get rid of the cops. He's going to get rid of the cops. And then everything is going to be like Portland. Oh, my God. No, dude. No, not at all. Not at all. This stinks of a Rand Paul pro-Trump campaign ad. You know it. You know the ones where conservatives, they will like use a black and white filter, put in scary music and say, this is Joe Biden's America, where a senator can't even walk down the street safely anymore. Well, again, the senator has actually enabled Donald Trump quite a bit and is using now, of course, the same kind of fascist rhetoric that we see on that we hear on Tucker Carlson on that show. And so, come on, dude. No. He chose to walk through a group of anti-Trump BLM protesters, knowing that emotions are going to be high. And then, of course, when something does happen, that he could play the victim card. And that's what it is. They're really, really good at that. Really, really good, right? And you understand, too, that crowds are full of human beings, right? That can become irrational and even violent if provoked. I mean, for example, having a bicycle shoved into you. Yeah, they can do that. Or, of course, another thing that could rile up a crowd is constantly having people, in your community shot by police despite being unarmed. I think the only reason for Rand Paul to walk into that crowd is so that he could come out and pretend to fear for his life. He knew exactly what he was doing. And guess what? He got the outcome that what he was looking for.